Climber, are your songwriting goals leading you toward failure? Is your goal of having a number one hit song actually hurting your chances of getting that number one hit song? There is a better way to achieve more songwriting success, and we're going to talk about it today on The Climb. Johnny, do that thing.
Ooh, this is interesting. Welcome to The Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Because, folks, you ain't going to be the diamond in the rough that's going to be plucked out of obscurity by the record label and turned into a household name. No, you're going to have to create a small business for yourself. You don't need anybody's permission, but you got to do it yourself. And that small business, depending on how big your small business is, the bigger it gets, the more leverage you get. That's what it's going to take to work with all the people that you want to work with. That's why we call it The Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. See what we did? That's a backronym from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who's also an award-winning songwriter, hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols. Top 10s in Australia, top 10s in Texas radio, number ones in Southern gospel, knocking at the door of CCM. He's got stuff going on. He's on fire, this boy is. And he wants to help you, the songwriter, become professional like him by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then he will connect you with the pros. You can reach Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. It's complicated, but Johnny's smart. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
What's up?
Man, imagine how loud that room would be if there were more than one of you.
That's
so many stories.
One, and then he broke
so much hair product. It's amazing.
God made me, and he was like, "Whoa, we better not. We better." Yeah,
write down what just happened, boys, and make sure that never happens again.
Yeah,
there are not enough Janelles in the world.
Don't anybody know I made this mistake right here?
Yeah. There are not enough Janelles in the world to handle that. So
yes. My songwriting goals are going to get me in trouble. They're going to get my way.
Yeah, they just might get you in a little bit of trouble. So
I can't wait to hear how you work through this one.
It's a tricky thing, right? There are goals and there are, a little spoiler alert, there are core values. And sometimes our external goals are not as important as our internal goals / core values as far as charting our success. So I'm sharing the thing that what got me on this kick was life experience. Yes, but also the wording for it. Some of it came from Tribe of Mentors by Timothy Ferriss. He's the guy that wrote the 4-Hour Work Week. Yep. And I've been working through this book, and it's really interesting. We'll talk about it more. But yeah, good stuff, man.
All right. Well, let's take care of a little business. Make sure you join the Climb community on Facebook. We want to see your bright, shiny faces. Mm-hmm. That is at facebook.com/groups/the Climb community. You have to ask to be let in because it is a private group, but we let everybody in as long as you're a real person and not a salesman of some sort and not a hooker. We have rules. And hi, Bravo.
I mean, you can be a hooker, just don't bring that to the Climb community. That's
I mean, you can hook. We're not judging, but we're saying you just don't like this isn't your crowd, right? Like you're a hooker that's an artist. That's a nuance that we'll accept.
About the music part, right?
Yeah. Just stick on the music part. But
that's right.
You're gonna want to. We'll let everybody in, and then you're going to want to put your new music on the Monday posts in the comments section of the Monday post, which is New Music Mondays. You're going to want to put your wins in the comment section of the New Heights, which happens every Wednesday. You're going to want to put your gigs on the comment section of the post that happens every Thursday called Gig Alert. So we're going to shower you with love and affection, tender loving care. And unless you put your stuff in the feed, and then we're going to shower you with Roadhouse.
That's right. Keep it happy and appropriate for everybody in the feed. If there's stuff
That's
like
right.
articles about like, hey, Spotify has a new, you know, way they're paying out. What's going on? Like we
Yeah.
talked about last episode, that kind of stuff is perfectly appropriate for the main feed. We encourage it. We would love to have that. But if it's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm playing at the Shake Shack with Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters on Thursday in Pomona
And
Beach, I
Larry
don't.
Limo and the Lug Nuts is opening up. You don't
Yeah,
want to
then
miss
I was
that
like,
show.
that's gig alert right there. But
All
yes,
right, guys. So we got
but
some wins. Let's what do we got? Who we got? Who we got?
yes, we have a couple wins here, and let's see here.
We
A couple.
celebrate our climbers. We don't care what the reviews say. That's how much we
Right.
love y'all.
Exactly. We want to shout you out. So, climber Bill O'Hanlon says, I got my latest BMI payments, more than doubled my last quarter's income. May that trend continue. Those sync placements really make a difference. Plus, some BMI live payments coming in since I do so many songwriters rounds. So, congratulations, Bill, on that, and also on taking the time to put your set list and your stuff into your BMI live payments, because that they don't know that you played Live Oak or the local or whatever. If you don't tell them, and they don't know what songs to attribute that to, if you don't tell them. So Bill is taking the time to do that. So he's seeing the return on that. So I love
I
when my
love that. Good job,
co-writers do
Bill.
that, because then I get paid on it too. So if any of my co-writers are out there listening, be sure and put in your BMI and your ASCAP money, your live
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway, so congrats, Bill. Let's see what else we have going on here. Andrew Neal Climber says, my song Runaway Train has hit almost 70,000 streams since its release. Though this is not huge for me, it's a success and lets me know folks are listening. And Andrew includes a link to Spotify. And so awesome. So he's getting paid because he's over 1,000 streams this year. And
Yeah.
congrats, Andrew. And y'all can go there. And we love seeing links to your music if it's related to a win in the New Heights segment. So that's perfectly cool and appropriate. So rock on, y'all. Keep on climbing. And say something while I go get my coffee, because it's finally ready.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Well, how is he going to spin this here? How's he going to tell me that my values
There we go.
or my songwriting goals are getting in the way of my songwriting goals?
Yes.
This is double speak. This is
So yes, this is from a book, Tribe of Mentors by
Bart. Do you mean Bart?
this is from Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, just a bunch of stuff. So this is a big, like, I don't know, sucker's like, I don't know, 600 pages or something. I'm about,
It's huge.
and so I just kind of piecemeal going to go through tastings little, and what it is short life advice from the best in the world. It's a bunch of interviews with the best in the world at what they do, asking the same kind of questions. It's sort of just a collection of their answers to interesting questions. And so this one is from, let's see from Terry Laughlin, who is a coach for total immersion swimming. So anyway, he's just like high bar coach, figured up a new way to do this, and he's killing it doing that. So it says the question is, and a lot of the everyone's asked this question, but this is one asked to him. He says, what advice would you give a smart, driven college student about to enter the quote unquote real world? What advice should they ignore? And so this is Terry's answer. He said, I would ask a smart, driven college student to examine what it is they are driven to do. Are you driven to achieve an intrinsic or extrinsic goal? Several years ago, I read an op-ed in the New York Times that described a study of 1,000 West Point cadets who were followed up for 14 years. So followed up with them for 14 years. They were asked as first-year cadets to describe their career goals. Those who cited goals intrinsic to being an outstanding officer, developing excellence as a leader and communicator, earning the respect of the troops under their command, they went on at a much higher rate to earn commissions as officers, extend their service beyond the 5-year minimum, and gain early promotion to higher ranks, and report a high degree of satisfaction with their Army service. So all good things, right? Those who cited extrinsic goals, meaning earning promotions and gaining status, were less likely to earn commissions and early promotions or report a high level of satisfaction, leading them to terminate their service after the minimum 5-year period at higher rates. So they were not as successful as the first group. He goes, the same will apply in any field of endeavor. If your highest goal is incremental, patient, continual learning and development in critical skills and core competencies, you allow recognition, promotions, and financial rewards to be a natural result of the excellence you attained at core competencies. You will be far more likely to experience success and satisfaction and perhaps even attain eminence in your field. All right, so breaking that down. So basically, 10,000 New York Times, 10,000 West Point cadets followed him for 14 years. The people that said, I want to be a better communicator. I want to earn the respect of the troops under my command. I want to develop excellence as a leader. They had more success than the people that said, I want a promotion. I want this kind of external thing, right? So this,
Yeah, they were saying one group of people was saying, I want to be a better craftsman. I want to be good at my job. I want to be great at my job. I want to learn all the nuances of my job and excel at each one of those and be a student of the game. And the other ones were like, I want all the trappings. I want all the results.
exactly. It's what I've talked about a bunch with Songwriting Pro, that there are two kind of pros. There's the internal pro and the external pro. So the internal pro is a person that has the mindset, will think like a pro, write like a pro, do business like a pro, right? Is doing those things on the inside. They may not have the accolades yet, right? But they're operating like a pro. They think and they act like a pro. The external pro has the trappings. They have the stuff on the wall behind them, right? They have the stuff up getting streams on, millions of streams on Spotify, and they have the publishing deal, and they have the notoriety where you can look at them from the outside and go, oh, yep, there you go. That's a pro. And both are good, right? But I say you become an internal pro before you become an external pro, because becoming an internal pro is what allows you to become an external pro.
I was going to say that external pro is also an internal pro.
Exactly.
You didn't get those things on the wall without being an internal pro first.
It's kind of like all catfish are fish, but not all fish are catfish. All external pros are internal pros as well. Although not every internal pro will get the trappings, but it's a prerequisite. So I think, so the external is a platinum records, #1, all that stuff that other people will look at and go, you're a pro. Internal pro, they may not be able to see that. It's not as readily apparent. You don't have after Monday Morning Church got cut, it was my first cut, Alan Jackson. My middle name for quite a while was, he wrote Monday Morning Church. This is Brent. He wrote Monday Morning Church Baxter. And it was a great middle name. It was a great calling card. It's a great business card. And immediately for people to go, pro. Now, the week before word was out, even after it was in the can, but I couldn't tell people yet because they wanted to wait for Alan to release the word or whatever. I didn't have that calling card. I was just as much of a pro the day after the news come out as before, but I was an internal pro because no one could look and you have to look more deeply. Go, how's he operating? What's he doing? What's his work ethic like? It's harder to see. So I think what this is, I think what you said, Johnny, is a great way of saying those people were interested in the craft of being an excellent officer.
Yeah.
And not focused on the trappings, on the external rewards of being an excellent officer. They're not aiming at the rewards. They're aiming at becoming the type of person who will earn that reward. And that's what I want to dig into today. It's there's nothing wrong with wanting a #1 song. I want to collect them like Beanie Babies. That's fine. I want all the #1s I can get. Or, so one #1 or 50 #1s, but let that be your overarching maybe vision
50.
or mission.
50 #1s.
Yeah. It's not, let's not maybe make that the goal. Let's make some better goals. Let's look at some other ways we can do this. I said we start by considering the type of person who earns #1 singles, right? So even more than how do I get a #1 singles? What type of person gets #1 singles? And then you internalize those things, make those your goals. And I would say really more of a core value than a goal, because I like goals that are measurable. That's one thing I'd say. Well, one little thing I'd nitpick at this thing from Tribe of Mentors. He talks about intrinsic goals, like being a better communicator, earning respect. Well, how do you measure that? It's not time. SMART goals, they're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're realistic, and they're time bound. So they have like a deadline.
Mhm.
So I would have trouble calling these qualities a goal, but I would call them a core value,
Okay.
right? Because it's something that is not as
It's
measurable.
like a little vague, almost. There's a million
Yeah,
ways
it
to
should
become
be
a
a
better
goal. Like,
communicator. Maybe
have I
the
reached this
goal would be
goal?
one of those specific ways that you're going to be.
Mhm. You can have benchmarks, right, and
Yeah.
goals along the way, but really what's going to get you there are your core values and who you become. So let's start by considering the type of person that earns number one singles. What characteristics do they have? And I would say that person writes like a pro, they do business like a pro, and they
Mhm.
connect to other pros.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
Ah!
that sounds familiar if you're around the songwritingpro.com community.
Wow,
It's like, it all
dude!
makes
It's a
sense.
recipe for success.
What do you know, huh?
Who knew?
He says as he takes a sip from his songwriting pro mug. Um,
And
so
stares into the camera.
that's right. So what leads to writing like a pro and doing business like a pro and connecting to the pros? So I would say, let's replace the I want a number one song goal with I want to bring massive value to every co-write. That's like, as a core value.
Mhm.
Let's replace the number one. Number one's out there. That's fine. How am I going to get there? My core value. I'm going to get there by becoming the type of person that earns number ones. What type of person is that? So we're reverse engineering and to go, well, that person must bring massive value to every co-write because
Mhm.
that's what they do. Because they do it repeatedly. Because you never know what song is going to hit. So
Mhm.
it's how you do everything, right? So then I would ask, okay, how? How does that person bring massive value to every write? And so you're
Mhm.
backing it back another layer. Well, saying I will pre-write, meaning I'm going to work on my craft. I'm going to study the craft. I will practice. I will listen in the co-writing room, like listen to my co-writers and not just like plow over them. I'm going to listen to what they have to say and respect the people in the room. I will bring a positive vibe to the co-write because nobody likes a downer. There are people I have
Okay.
to get like, I can't be in that room. Why? Because they spend too much time complaining and it's a negative vibe and that's bringing me down. Ain't nobody got time for that. Right. That's
Mhm.
poison. Stay away from that. Another thing is I will show up prepared and on time or early. Like I will respect the room. I will respect the people in the room. And so these are like core values. And these are core values that I have as a writer, that I'm going to bring massive value to the co-write. I'm
Mhm.
going to conduct myself in a professional manner. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to make it a habit of connecting to pros, growing my professional relationships. Like these are core values. Um, so again, these are core values instead of like goals because, I can't really measure some of this stuff. But what other core values can make you a person who has number one hit singles? I will become a person who consistently seeks out and builds new business relationships. Like, how important is that?
Mhm.
How many people have written that number one who are like, I still don't know anybody in the business.
Mm. Yeah.
It's not.
It just they showed up at my front door. They said, "We heard you might have written a number one song." You're like, I did. Here's the demo. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was your name? We'll get back to you. Yeah. No. No.
doesn't happen, right? You make it a point to get to know people in the business, and you may not be able to go, well, how exactly does that lead to a number one? Well, that's a quality of a number one songwriter is they get to know other pros and they're continually working on their, the old school way of saying it would be their Rolodex, their contact list, the people that they're friends with. I mean, I was listening to a podcast with Jesse Frazier. So you might know him as the DJ Telemetry, or as just a songwriter who's had 20 something number one singles as a writer.
Oh wow.
And how he was getting to know people when he first came to town, and people would introduce him like, hey, there's this guy, Chris Stapleton, that didn't have much going on yet. Wow, he's great. Let's write. Or, hey, there's this girl, Megan Trainor, that she's 18. She's coming down from the Northeast. She's super shy, but she has a cool voice. And like, oh, let's write. Hey, there's this guy. He was either Dan or Shay. Oh, is an R&B artist coming in from out of town. And they kind of made this island of misfit toys and they wrote together. And then later, the world changed and they're all massively successful. making relationships. Jesse was making those relationships, right?
Yeah.
And it comes to pay off. And now he's had 20-something number ones. I mean, that's the thing about consistently building relationships. I was listening to another podcast with Trainee Anderson. She's on Heart Like a Truck. She's on the new Lainey Wilson song, Wild Horses and Wildflowers. She moved from Texas when she was like 18 years old. And she, at the time, she really didn't know anybody. And just trying to get her feet planted on the ground. She joined the YEP, like Facebook group or whatever. It's the Young Entertainment Professionals. And she posted a song, was like, hey, I'm here looking to make friends and co-writers. Because don't know anybody, just moved to town. And she's like 20-something people, I think, maybe commented on there. And I went and like had coffee or hung out or wrote with every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't just happen. That was intentional. Right?
Yeah.
So think about the qualities of what makes for the type of person, because it's not about, if you want to reach the goal, you have to become the type of person who will achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you do it. That's the thing that's going to move you there. Another quality of a number one writer, a core value, is I will become a person who doesn't give up when I get discouraged. And notice I said when, not if.
Right.
There is no if in that sentence, right? When you get discouraged, don't give up. That's a core value. I'm going to keep on trucking.
Yeah.
Because discouragement's coming. That's fine. It's just part of life. We all get punched in the face and other places that are even more sensitive. So
yeah,
you just can't give up. You just got to keep on going. I mean, I was talking to my buddy Aaron Goodman the other day, and we were in a write, and he said he was in the studio, and somebody was in there that like looked familiar. He's like, I know that guy from somewhere. And the guy was like, hey, Aaron, it's me, so-and-so. Like, yeah, I was like an intern at a studio like 15, 20 years ago or whatever. And Aaron's like, oh my gosh. And they both had that moment of like, we're still in it.
Yeah.
We're still doing this.
Like, all
still in the
right.
studio like 15 years later, Yeah. And I know Aaron's gotten punched in the face a bunch, and that I'm sure that other guy has too. But the thing is, don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the core value. That's the quality of a person that's going to stick around long enough to get those number ones.
And can I weigh in on this a little second right here? Like,
heck yeah.
Like, okay, like I just came out of the other end on this, right? So what we're trying to do in music by breaking artists digitally and creating that repeatable pipeline, right? That's just reliable. That if we do this, and this, there's lots of nuance to it, but here's the framework, and we can go from here to here for sure with this amount of money. You know what I mean? We've done that in the corporate world, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've done that with the corporate world. My number one client, right? C.L.I.M.B Financial. Like, started working with that guy in 2020. He was a killer before he met me. Made $1 million in 2019. Went totally on board with me, totally digital, doubled it in 2020 during the pandemic. Boom. Selling life insurance, okay?
And I guess it was on people's mind, wasn't it? But yeah.
So we in the way we did it, we set up this marketing infrastructure. We run ads that send traffic to a webinar. And when you register for the webinar, you're put into a funnel, and that funnel is how we create relationships, because this is, it's really about retirement planning and stuff. Mm-hmm. So nest eggs, right? It's like really important. Like, people need to know who you are. Well, we've done 4 or 5 webinars, boom, 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 over the last 3 years. They're all rocking. And then this last one we put online, man. I mean, dude, like, this guy loves me. Like, seriously, like, just, I'm not lying here. They called me and asked me how I would feel if they took out a life insurance policy on me, because they've like, straight up, this is true story. Because we've abandoned every other way of marketing. Like, you're the way, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they're like, if you get hit by a truck, you're going to screw up my business for like a year, Would you be creeped out by that? Can we do that? And I'm like, sure, like, I love that. And that was like a huge badge of honor for me, right?
Yeah.
And then right after that, the 5th webinar goes online, and nothing. Like, I don't mean like underperforming. I mean, like, in the beginning, complete effing failure, right?
Mhm.
Like the ads are working, we're driving traffic to the webinar. 2,000 people have visited the webinar registration page, and not a single person
Okay.
has registered. And I'm like, what the F, you know, like what? And I'm panicking and they're freaking out, you know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
always behind me, you know. I mean, they never lost faith. I had a crisis of faith in
Yeah.
myself. You know, you talk about like when you're gonna hit that top, like it happens. Like even when you know what the hell you're doing, it comes and you're like, what happened? I fixed it now. I fixed it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But it took 4 weeks of a lot of different kinds of crap, switching stuff around and doing this and doing that to finally get it to work. And now it's pumping. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But I mean, I was like, oh my God, like I can't. This isn't repeatable. Like I can't do it over and over again. Like they're gonna get rid of me.
Mhm.
Like you know what I mean? Panicking. Like total. Uh, it was a it was like a failure, but it just those things happen. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not a question of if you're gonna get knocked off your horse. You're gonna get knocked off your horse, and sometimes it's gonna be violent. You know, this one was violent, right?
Yeah.
And finally, you know, but the question is like, how are you going to get back up on it, right? Like, how are you
Yeah.
going to persevere? And so,
That's
yeah,
right.
I just wanted to share that. Like, you know, human, man, totally human. Like, didn't work. Now it's working, but it wasn't
Yeah.
before, and I didn't know why.
Man, I was talking to my wife the other day after my last Nashville trip. There's plenty of times I've definitely gotten discouraged about songwriting. And I mean, there are times I got discouraged about, there were times where things got rough. I had to go take a day job. And during that time is really when I started Man versus Row, which became Songwriting Pro. And we started the C.L.I.M.B podcast during that time when I was just having to squeeze it in the cracks of day job and having kids and adopting and all that stuff. And you had to talk me out the ledge plenty of times where I'm just like, I don't know how I can ever get back to a creative life. Like I
Mhm.
feel like I'm gonna be stuck in sales the rest of my life, but just didn't quit and would publish the next blog, publish the next, podcast. And there were
Yeah,
years there where I didn't write very much. And then finally make the leap. And then God's like, move to Missouri. I'm like, that's freaking 500 miles away. I'm just trying to get my feet back on the ground in the creative side and not going to
yeah,
move 500 miles away. And I remember, rolling out in that U-Haul, and I knew it was the right thing to do because it was very clear that God was saying to do that. But I'm like, what is this leading to? Like, if you had told me when I was driving that U-Haul across the Mississippi that, hey, here in a couple of years, you're still going to be, working for yourself, still doing Songwriting Pro, writing. Guess what? In 2023, you're going to write over 100 songs, which
yeah,
you hadn't done that since you had Pub Deal.
yeah,
You're going to have X number of cuts out, right? You're going
yeah,
to be talking to these publishers and they're going to be setting you up with rights and with artists. And, you're going to have a song on a freaking Grammy nominated record that you haven't written that song yet. It's not an old one. You're going to write that song and
yeah,
it's going to get on a record that's nominated for a Grammy and all these different things. You're going to have more number ones.
yeah,
Most of your number ones are ahead of you. Dadgum.
yeah,
That happened, grace of God, and I didn't quit.
yeah,
But there's plenty of times I get discouraged. But I was looking at that, having just a moment of just gratitude, going, "Wow, would not have thought that." Like if you'd have told me that the day we packed up that U-Haul, I don't know if I'd have believed you because it seems
yeah.
so far off. And I'd been to
It
the
would seem,
mountaintop
it would have
before,
seemed like pandering if somebody told you that.
like sure, yeah, you're moving out of Nashville and you're going to write how many songs,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and didn't. But that's the quality of somebody who writes number ones. Don't give
Hmm.
up. Don't get fine. Get discouraged. Get back up. Keep going.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing is I will become a person who schedules my songwriting time and writes a lot of songs. That's the thing. Songwriters write a lot of songs. And again, going back to that Jesse Frazier interview, I think that was the Get Real podcast with Caroline Hobby. And he was talking about, if you write, 200 something songs a year, which is a whole lot. Most people don't write that. But if you write one hit a month, that's 12 hits in a year. You'll be songwriter of the year every year.
Hmm.
Right? So the fail rate is really high, but you got to write a lot of songs to get there.
Hmm.
And so one discouragement, again, kind of going back to that is, yeah, most months you won't write a hit. You're not going to write anything that gets cut, but you keep at it and you write a lot to put a lot of darts on the board, because we don't really know what's going to hit and what won't. So it's doing it again and again and again. So the kind of person who writes number ones will be the kind of person who schedules their songwriting time, doesn't just wait for inspiration, and they write a lot of songs.
Yep.
Another thing is I will remain humble and teachable. You know, you're talking about getting knocked off your horse. It's a lot harder fall if it's a high horse. So you want to be humble and teachable, because that's how you're going to get better. There's that, and we may do a whole episode on the Dunning-Kruger effect. I think we've talked about it on the show,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like the less competent you are, the more competent you think you are,
Yeah.
which explains politics so well. But
Yeah.
the
And
people that are more,
academia.
yeah, the people that are more competent tend to, basically, they did this, Dunning and Kruger did this experiment where they gave all these people a test, and they had them, after they took the test, before they saw the results, had them gauge what they thought the results would be. The people who did the worst, way overvalued how well they think they did. The people that did the best undervalued what they thought they did, or undershot what they thought their score would be. So, and it works in all areas. So basically, the people that have no clue what they're doing don't even know that they don't know anything, and so they way overvalue their competency, their talent, their ability, all that kind of stuff. Whereas the people that are learning and know kind of what's up, they know that they don't know everything, and so they tend to be more humble. So you want to be humble and teachable, because not only will that help you not get on that high horse, it's going to actually help you learn, because you do have more to learn. I think one thing that saved me is there's kind of this dual tracks. Like when I first started writing songs, I remember sitting on the hay bale with Tim Meitzen in a field in Arkansas by the White River at 3 a.m. writing songs and playing songs, going, man, this stuff's just as good as the stuff on the radio. It was not. We did not know that, because we did not know how much we did not
There's a
know.
healthy amount. There's a healthy amount of disillusionment required
Yeah,
in
I
the
was
beginning.
totally, yeah, I had no, because we didn't know what we didn't know, right? We couldn't even see that deeply into it to see the difference between
Yeah.
our beginner little cute songs and masterpieces. And that's fine. That kept us going, right? We were
Mhm.
encouraged by that. But also, thankfully, like, I was humble enough to go, I want to learn, I want to get better.
Yeah.
And so the totally, no, did not know where I was. I thought I was
Yeah.
professional level, and I wasn't. But thankfully, was humble enough and teachable enough to keep learning, and hungry to learn enough that eventually I got to a professional level that I thought I was at on day one.
Mhm.
So for you, you want to stay humble and teachable. I still want to be humble and teachable. I was talking with the publisher about this just like last night. He was going to go to a thing where Doug Johnson was speaking. And
Mm.
he goes like, there's something there I want to learn. And he works with Doug, and he's a
Mhm.
peer, and he's been in the business a long time, but he's like, I'm still going to learn. He's still hungry to learn, which is why he's still in the business.
Yeah.
And so you want to be humble and teachable as well. Another core value is I will encourage my co-writers and music industry friends. Like for me, that's a core values. I want to be an encourager. I want to encourage my friends. So I look for those opportunities. It's taking a little bit of training to not just be all about myself, but to sincerely applaud them and celebrate their wins. So I look, if there's somebody has a new release out, am I a writer on it? No. Hey, I don't care. Happy release day.
Mhm.
Now, even it has more exclamation and heart emojis if I'm a writer on it. But even if I'm not, but my buddies are releasing music, I want to celebrate them. If they have a win,
Mhm.
I want to celebrate them. One, because they're my friends and I'm sincerely happy for them. But also, it's just, that's the kind of person that's going to get number ones, because that's the kind of person people are going to want to be around, because,
Yep.
oh man, that so and so, he's an encourager. Brent's an encourager. He's a good vibe in the room, and I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that. And
And
so the
some
more
days
like,
you need that. Some days you're feeling a little discouraged, and you look forward to getting to that other person that's just like overwhelming positive energy, because you're like, I need to, like, Janelle and I talk about this like in terms of relationship, right? It's just a way to quickly get a gauge on somebody, like for
mhm,
the day, right? I'm talking about for like the measurement for the day. Like
yeah,
if we both know something needs to happen, right? Like food, and there's a day I come home and she's just like not all there. Something's off with the energy,
yeah,
It's like, what are you at right now? She'll be like, I'm at like 20%. I'm like,
yeah,
all right. I'm at 70. I got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's days when I come in and the last thing I want to think about is doing anything. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
been a rough day. And it's like, I'm at like a 10%. She's like, I got you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, that's the way those rooms work, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, it's like sometimes you go in there and you've scheduled it and you're going to show up and you're going to prepare. But sometimes you can't just always be the life of the party. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
some days
Yeah.
are better than other days. And when you go in there and when those other people know that and they're going to be there to get you and you got them,
Mm.
there's a trust that develops and that's part of it, you know?
Yeah, and they're gonna be there when you are down, and one thing is, yeah, if you're bringing a positive energy, if a day is just a crappy day, you've
Yeah.
you've made deposits in that fund with your buddies
Yeah.
that they're gonna be there, and now if every day you're showing up like Eeyore, it's just another day to them. It's like the boy that cried
Yeah.
wolf. Oh, he's always negative, so
Yeah.
I don't care. I can't hear this anymore. You're probably not
That's
gonna
right.
be in those rooms anyway
That's right.
anymore. But I just want to encourage y'all to think about what are the core values, what are the qualities of the type of person who will accomplish the goals that you want, whether it's like, I want to sell out stadiums, or I want to be on stage at the Ryman, or I want to win Songwriter of the Year. Whatever your goal is, think about what are the qualities of the person that accomplishes those goals and achieves those goals. And that is where you need to start, is going, I want to be that type of person.
Yeah.
So what
And
are
every
the
time,
qualities of someone who writes a number one? Oh, they get number one. They go to number one parties. No.
yeah,
That's a
that's not
result.
the quality. That's the
What's the
result.
input?
Yeah.
What's the input that gets the output that you want? And you need to
Yeah.
work at building in those qualities into your life and in the way you do business, so you can write like a pro, do business like a pro, and connect to the pros. And so start there, and that's going to help you get where you want to go. Yes, keep an eye on the prize. Like, yes, I do want another one, number one. I mean, I look at that. I want to rack up number ones. So
Yeah.
that is a thing, but that's kind of more
But the
where I'm
approach, like
aiming.
if you come at it from the approach that you're talking about,
Hmm.
then the intrinsic will help get you through
Yes.
when the extrinsic is failing, right? When you really have one of those bad days of doubt where
Hmm.
you're like, God, I missed a cut, or I
Hmm.
didn't get, or you just, some days you just wake up and you're like, I suck at this. Like, what am I
Yeah.
doing? Who am I fooling? You got
Right.
imposter syndrome. We all have that,
Hmm.
but then when you go back, it's the basics of that. Like, that's what I loved about like Brett Favre. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? As a Hall of Famer quarterback, you almost never saw Brett Favre hand off a football, right? For those of you guys who like watch football, pay attention to the quarterbacks here, right? Hand off a football to the running back and then throw a fake pass
Hmm.
after he hands off the ball, because somebody's not going to catch it. He's going to he's going to create a stutter step in somebody in the defense by doing that potentially. Maybe
Yeah.
it almost never happens, but when it does, it's good for another couple yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just a fundamental thing that he
Hmm.
does that like you don't see a lot of people do, but it's like you watch the fundamentals of it. And that's what gets you through, because when you start feeling doubt, you're like, well, tomorrow I'm just going to wake up and do the same thing I did yesterday,
Yeah.
and it's going to be another day. You know what I
It's
mean?
like,
And you
I
feel
didn't
better.
get that cut. They didn't single that or whatever. But you know
Yep.
what I can work on is being the type of person that gets a number one. So I can
Yeah.
still
And
work
and
on
you could go,
writing today and
or
encouraging others and doing that. I can win at that.
yeah, or maybe you woke up today and you didn't make that publishing relationship, or you didn't get that deal that you thought you were going
Yeah.
to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you can still go back and be like, sometimes it's it's good to look in the review mirror a little bit and be like, okay, go back a year and look at what the
Mhm.
grind that you put yourself through. Are you a better songwriter? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the stuff I wrote this year, way better than last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Then guess what? Progress. Like you haven't hit the
Progress.
competitive bar yet, maybe,
Mhm.
but you're well on your way and you're
Yeah.
on the right road. You're on the yellow brick road. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
now all you do is keep walking, just one more step, one more step, one more step up that staircase of faith. You
Yeah.
can't see the top of the
I mean, every day
stairs.
when I do my song title habit and I write, I've missed one day in like a year. And it makes me mad that I missed, like, it was a travel day or something. And I forgot to do my title. And there's one day I've missed, but every day feels like a win because I'm a person that comes up with song ideas every day or titles every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I am. It's part of my identity. I come up with titles all the time. I write a lot. I'm the kind of person that encourages people and reaches out and has relationships. And, you start internalizing those things to be that person.
Yep.
And those successes are a byproduct of who you are. So work on becoming the type of person who has those type of successes.
Yeah.
Hey, right. You know what? I want to have Tim McGraw's abs. Well, guess what? You need to be the type of person that Tim McGraw is, which is watch what you eat and work out a lot.
6 hours a day, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want it that bad, but it's like, it's like if you work on becoming the type of person who does that, I'm the type of person who works out a lot and watches what they eat. That will get you, maybe not Tim McGraw, who knows, genetics and stuff, but it will get you further.
Mm-hmm.
So work on becoming the type of person that will get those successes. Hey, and if you want to write like a pro, if you want to do business like a pro, and if you want to connect to the pros, I know a place that can help you. It's songwritingpro.com. It's a website. It's a community that I host and shepherd, hopefully, as well, and bring in other pros to help you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and connect to the pros. You can get details. You can hear from some of our members' wins. People are getting cuts through the community and making publisher relationships. All kinds of good stuff is great. And I just got, the publisher I was talking to last night, he called me to tell me that he listened again through all the songs that came through a members only event, the On Hold in the top 10 songs. I was listening to them again. And we talked about some of the songs and like stuff is happening for people, right? We're creating opportunity.
Yes.
You can get details at songwritingpro.com. We'd love to have you drop by. So that's what I got.
Love it, guys. Well, that's good, man. I like that. I like that message. Yeah. I like that message. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of another killer C.L.I.M.B episode. This is where we're self-aggrandizing, like that guy said in the bad review, the 3-star review, the sort of bad, kind of not so bad review. Like, it's kind of like not good, solid, but not mind-blowing. Like, I did. So, yeah, this is where we promote ourselves. We're great at this podcast. We don't mind telling. So, anyway, yes, this podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.